What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a pretty interesting question that was posed to some developers on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it brought up the whole Aerith situation once again. I want to talk about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as the game gets closer, because the question was talking about her death. So let's kind of just go over what we got, and then we'll talk about if they're going to change it, what they're going to do with this Aerith situation. So the question is half statement, half question. It's kind of mixed in, and it says, that is, the original game includes the death of an important character, something that usually causes great surprise in all stories, but has become the best known death in the history of video games. So something new would have to be done, in a sense, to surprise, right? And then you have two very important members of Final Fantasy VII with absolutely nothing. And I love that just little statement there, absolute silence. And there's some people kind of memeing it as well. It's a great answer. And honestly, I don't know how you can read it. If we're just talking about the question and the answer, and then, just going off that and saying what's going to happen with Aerith, my gut tells me that they're not going to kill her, at least in the way that she's killed originally. Okay, that's kind of my prediction. That's always been my prediction. And I would say, their absolute silence as a response, I guess, to the question, it doesn't change it too much. Like, what did you want them to say? Some of the comments to this Twitter post is saying, like, well, did you want them to say, like, if they said yes or whatever they were going to say, like, do you want that? Is this thing going to get spoiled? Actually, that's a couple comments I saw as well, where it's like, this game is totally, going to get spoiled, or at least the story elements are going to get spoiled before the game even releases. But in terms of taking a few steps back, not even just that question and answer, but would they do it? Well, again, my thing would be, if they're going to do it, I feel like they're going to do it differently. There are many, many theories online of switching her out, right? So maybe you put Cloud. I've seen actually quite a few people petitioning for Cloud or a version of Cloud to be taken out. I've seen some people say you replace her with Tifa. I feel that, and because they make a good point, right? When they talk about, it probably is the most well-known death in all of video games. I actually would agree with that. So obviously they want to do something different, like how 7 Remake ended. What we've seen so far from Rebirth, it's clear they're messing with time. I feel like, though, can you really ignore? Like, it's a good point. It is so important, and it really defines the game, the original game, in so many ways. Would you really not do it? Now, there's actually one thing I want to throw in before we go any further. There's a difference between saying, is she going to die, period, and then is she going to die in Rebirth? Because I actually think the answer to Rebirth specifically is no. In fact, I would argue Tifa, Cloud, all of them, or at least most, make it out completely safe in this game. I feel like if you're going to do it, it would be in the 3rd. And you could argue that would already kind of be messing with things, but that's personally what I think is going to happen. If they're going to kill anybody off, the good news, I guess, is we get to have this conversation now. We get to have this conversation up till, the end of February. And then most likely for the next 2 to 3 years, however long it may take to get us to that 3rd and final trilogy game, we're going to continue to have to talk about it, because I feel like whatever's going to happen is going to be in that one. But I just found that to be, like, how often do you normally get that, right? Especially from some of these, Japanese creators. They normally give, like, we look forward. In fact, I think somebody memed that too, where it's like a Nomura thing, where it's like, I look forward to, like, you experiencing it. And it's like, normally you get that kind of response, right? Normally they would say something back where it's like, well, we're not going to answer that, but we look forward to, like, seeing your reaction, or we hope you look forward to the game. That's, like, their general kind of lines. This is just, like, I would like to know, I guess maybe it was done maybe, like, over Zoom, or maybe back and forth. Like, did they see their faces? That's kind of my point. Did they actually see them? Because, like, did they give them, like, a stare? Like, what did they do when they said literally nothing? And also the awkwardness of that to maybe move on to the next question. So I think that's kind of a legendary response, to be honest with you. And again, though, you can't really read into that too much, because it could be absolute silence where, like, they agree and they say, well, yeah, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it somewhat differently, or no, like, the response to that question is, nope, we're just going to redo it. But, like, the thing is, they've kind of made it a point to indicate that, like, that's not what's going to happen. Like, obviously, this is a remake, but it's slightly different than a remake. It's really also a reimagining where they are changing some major things, right? So I don't know. I kind of look at it as they're just not going to give you anything in that department, and maybe somebody else will get them in the next couple months. I'm sure that's definitely possible too. Like I've seen, again, some of those comments saying it'll be interesting to see if we do get the things spoiled for us before the game comes out, but I guess because it is so legendary, it's probably topic number one where they rehearse and they know what to say or what not to say to certain questions, right? It'll be interesting. But like I said, I don't think like anything is actually going to happen in this next game. I actually think the conversation will continue for maybe like close to half another decade, and then we'll get our answer after that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.